Finally, in only a few short days, college baseball will return to our television screens, but we're impatient. Let's break down the first weekend of the 2026 NCAA College Baseball season to prepare because we want college baseball, and we want it now.
Yeah, ain't no problems, that won't problem with me, no. Yeah.
Let me talk to the chat. They know I was gone for a minute, had to BRB. Had to grab a couple wins, what I DID. They sleeping on the kid, I had to do it BIG. I can never be average, and they want a problem with the boy, they don't want no static. I don't need your cosign running with God. Wanna test that, tell them what's static. Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining dog. Counting in my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash, of the chain, boy, I've been a dog. Best believe I run the game, you know I'm in control of y'all. It's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Beat them up, knock them out. They really don't want no static.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. But honestly, you're not doing anything other than waiting for college baseball to kick off either. So who's thanking who here? Am I right? I'll tell you who you're thanking and who's thanking you. It's me, your friend, your host, your boy, Drew Wheeler, Director of Amateur Scouting at Prospects Live. Thrilled to be here with you, finally breaking down actual games. We have ascended past drafting mid-major pitchers, baby. We're here. We've got games coming up in only a few short days. It's going to be a sweet weekend for sure, and I've got three sweet boys ready to talk all about it with me. Starting, of course, with the gentleman to my right. It's Mr. Josh Catlett. Josh, with the sweet weekend ahead, I'm curious, man, what's your favorite candy?
Oh, candy. See, I'm not much of a candy person. If you count like chocolates and stuff, then yeah, definitely. I would say chocolates, it's like Kit Kats or like a Twix or something.
Okay.
And a really super specific one that I have over Christmas break that I just like got a hold of. It's these pretzels covered in white chocolate and peppermint, and I was given like literally 20 bags of them for Christmas from my stepdad just because they know how much I like them, and I finished them off within like 2 weeks.
They're gone.
That tastes like candy. I'll take it.
They're gone. So you have 0 of 20 bags remaining.
Correct. Yes.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I need to put on the weight. It might not be helping me in the right places, but you know what? I'm doing my best over here.
If you need weight, you should have just asked. I can ship you some whenever you need it.
We can make that deal afterwards. Don't worry. I have your number.
We'll figure it out. I'll have your people contact mine. Jake Bargery in the bottom right corner. Jake, you are a man of Southern heritage like myself, so I'm going to ask you the same question. What's your favorite candy, Jake? I know you got to have a good one.
I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with being from the South or anything. I'm a big Reese's guy. That's my favorite. That was always my go-to, like candy bar type chocolate thing. If we're talking non-chocolate, I like the sour straw gummy things. Those are pretty good. I haven't had that in a long time though. Now that we're talking about it,
it sounds like you need to make a trip over to the Wawa. Get you some sour gummies. Yeah, maybe after
I go to Wawa probably more than I should. I'll have to remember that next time I'm over there.
There you go. Well, you know what's on the list for next time. And of course, the bottom left, Mr. JB Sebastiano. JB, sweet treats. I'm going to stick with candy specifically. I know we can get into other sweet treats throughout the season. What's your favorite candy, buddy?
I'm going to go with the Sour Punch straws, too. That's great. I've always liked that, or Sour Patch Kids, something like that. Like all the sour gummies. I'm a pretty big fan of those, so got to go with that.
JB, do you think people who know you personally would say that you're more sour or more sweet?
That's a great question. I think it's pretty split depending on who you're talking to. If you're asking Josh, definitely sour. But
I was going to try and give my answer.
Sweet,
I think there's a pretty clear answer here, but that's just my humble opinion.
Well, hopefully there aren't too many more clear answers to be had because, of course, today we are talking about weekend 1 of the 2026 NCAA College Baseball season. And because we're kicking off the season in style, we are going to be including something that you're going to be hearing a lot about through the season. I don't know if we have a specific name for this yet, but essentially what it's going to boil down to is us picking games. So you can call it a pick 'em. We can call it a picking championship. We can call it Phillip for all I care. Call it whatever. I don't care. It can be named anything because I'm excited to talk about these games with these guys. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about either a specific weekend series or a collective, essentially a tournament that could be happening. And we're going to be picking who we think will either win that series, most games won, or picking who we think will win the most games, have the best record, et cetera, from those multiple game collections across the country. Josh, did I leave anything out about that before we get started?
I don't think so. It'll get a lot easier the further we get into the season because we'll lose all these 6 and 8 and 4 team events that we're going to, and it's just going to be 2 teams facing off. But yeah, I mean, like I feel like it's a pretty relatively simple concept.
It feels fairly straightforward, one could say. While we are talking about this, though, we should probably mention a very important person, I guess a website. It's not technically a person, but if any of you are familiar with the Twitter account Duty Noble Field on Twitter, they have launched a website called My Omaha 8 recently, and we are partnering with them this season to present to you these picks. So please be sure to check out myomaha8.com. Check them out for all of your picking needs, whether it's a group of friends, your workplace pool, you challenging random people on the street to pick college baseball better than you. I don't care what you do. Just go to the site, pick some games, have some fun, and be sure to check out our picks while you're there. Although I do think that if you do it after you listen to this, you will be slightly spoiled. But who's to say? I'm not judging you for what you do. Guys, let's get to it. Several things on the docket here. If I'm not mistaken, we have got 9. Josh, is that right? 9 selections?
I think 8. One of us is counting.
That is 8. That is 8.
There we go.
You've passed the test. Math 8.
Can I put that on my record?
You can. Plus 1 to Josh. Plus 0.000001 point to you. Well done.
The SEC math duel right there. Auburn versus Tennessee. We got it going.
Exactly.
So, Auburn winning the first math battle right
the
there.
The first matchup. Now it's a long season, JB. I don't want to hear it out of you, okay? It's a long season, California.
We don't do a lot of winning over here at Auburn, so I'll take my wins where I can get them.
I think I can spare one, yeah. Let's get to the first one, guys. We'll take it to Texas, Arlington, if you will, for the Shriners Children's College Showdown. A beautiful stadium. I was just there 2 years ago. Gorgeous park, a big league park. What we're going to see here, guys, is a lot of players getting some of their first opportunities to be on a showcase at this level at a major league park. Josh, we're going to go back to you first. That seems like an easy path. Just go in a square here. So I guess a circle, if you will, seeing as that is the theme visually of the show. We'll take it a circle. I'm an idiot. Of this group of teams, Josh, whether it's a specific player, a specific coach, a specific matchup, what are you most looking forward to seeing out of the Shriners Children's College Showdown?
Let's see. I think as a whole, there's just so many. I mean, obviously, this is like a no-duh statement. There's a lot of question marks about a lot of these teams that need to be answered early. The number one thing for me might be Arkansas as a whole. There's a lot of questions I want to be answered. I think the biggest one, and this is like a little more specific than broad, there's been a lot of talk about Hunter Dietz over the summer and over the fall and all of that, about how much he's improved based on how he was last year, barely pitching last year through only, I think, 1.2 innings. But he's shooting up draft boards, fastball up to 98, 99. I want to see how he does against a TCU lineup that he's slated to go against on Saturday, I'm pretty sure. And that's just a phenomenal way to get right into the season. Like, there is no coasting into it like some of these other teams. TCU's got one of the better lineups in the entire country, and I want to see how he's able to actually perform, and can he go 5, 6, 7 innings deep into that game. Some offensive things with Arkansas, too, is like the construction of that lineup. There's lots of big poppers in that lineup. How does DVH kind of navigate that? And, just how does it actually shake out? Like, I mean, offense isn't typically the issue for Arkansas, but there's just a lot of weird moving parts there that I'm really interested to see how it works out over the pan of the weekend.
I like that. You referenced Hunter Dietz and a specific matchup with TCU. I love that. We're going to take it, Josh, to the baptism by fire-o-meter, trademark Drew Wheeler 2026, with 1 being this is just a tepid, almost cold bath, 10 being lake of fire. How much of a baptism by fire is this for our friend Hunter Dietz?
Oh, I mean, like, I got to be like a 9. If I'm
I was
reading your
thinking at
scale
least
correctly,
an 8. Yeah. I was
if
thinking
I'm
at
reading your
least an
scale
8.
correctly, it's at least a 9 because I mean, there's just like, I don't know if there's a hole in that. I mean, like, even down to one person, like maybe there's one person I'm just not thinking of, but like, I don't know if there's any holes in that lineup at all. You get no breaks. Like it could be a 10, truly, but it's at least a 9 though. I mean, this is just right into the fire. It wouldn't
Yeah.
like strategically. I don't know how they're going to handle it and how confident they are in Dietz compared to someone like Gackle, but I mean, I don't know. This is all you can ask for in a matchup. If you're a scout, for example, like trying to look at Hunter Dietz and see how he's going to perform, this is all you can ask for.
A primo opportunity to see a top 100 arm on many outlets, including our own Prospects Live. Jake, looking at these teams here spread amongst the SEC and the Big 12, I'm curious, what are you most looking forward to in this series?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about kind of the other side of things like that Josh was mentioning real quick. I'll keep it short with TCU. I mean, they have studs in the lineup top to bottom, and they got one of the best Friday starters in the country. I think it's just going to be fun to see them actually get put to the test early because I mean they've been hyped up, by us in the preseason the whole time pretty much, and it's going to be pretty fun to see how they match up against some of these top SEC teams. I think they have Vanderbilt first, and then Arkansas next, so they're going to get tested pretty early. But the other point I wanted to make was about Oklahoma State. Hunter Watkins, the bad news about him, it's a massive loss to the rotation. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up. I believe it's is it Mario? Is it Pesha? Is that how you pronounce that? Is probably going to be the top guy in that rotation now. But behind him, the depth of the pitching staff is going to be tested a little bit more now. The lineup is good. It's a little top heavy, so I'm excited to see kind of how they hit like at the bottom of that order, how they can flip it around against some of these good pitchers. But the Big 12's got a big weekend ahead of them with this one.
Big weekend for the Big 12, says Jake. I think you're accurate on that one, buddy. Good call. JB, looking at this group of teams, I'm curious, a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we've heard Josh talk about Arkansas, Jake really hitting about TCU and really the Big 12 in general. I'm curious, when you see this collective, what catches your eye, bud?
Yeah, well, I thought we were done with the stealing by the time we ended the drafts, but Jake kind of hit right in the nail in the coffin where I was going, funny enough. So I'll give a quick piece on that and then hop to the other thing I was going to discuss. For me, it was more so TCU and the pitching against the teams they're going to have to face. I mean, TCU is going to have to come out and play Vandy and Arkansas. It's a good test for Lepore and the rest of the group, and then Oklahoma to finish. 3 SEC teams to really test them, and 3 pretty solid offenses when you look at them up and down. But for me, I'm going to pivot from that into an SEC team and talk about Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt last year being the number 1 seed, getting knocked out of their own regional, a lot of stuff going up about them after that, and a lot of people kind of panicking about Corbin now missing Omaha for a good bit of time now. So this team at Vandy is very experienced, and I think that's one thing that goes well for them, but there's not a lot of power in the offense, and that's something that's really, really, really concerning a lot of people as the home run numbers have really ticked down for Vanderbilt, and they have one guy in double digits from a year ago that is returning, and they got 1 transfer in the double-digit totals from Tennessee Tech. So that's something for them that's kind of eyebrow-raising, but they are experienced. The pitching staff is strong again, but, it's not a typical Vandy staff. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play, but it's a big test for them this weekend.
It certainly will be. It's going to be with Vanderbilt, like you said, the power is something that I've kind of kept a loose eye on. Is where exactly is it coming from? But I think I might have said it in the last episode. Even Coach Corbin he has made better players out of worse clay, and so I'm curious to see what he can do with some of the returning cogs here. Let's pick winners, shall we? Josh, we'll go to you. Who do you think is going to have the best record, most wins, and then, of course, the tiebreaker being the run differential? Who do you pick?
I'll say purely based on how the schedule plays out, I think I'm going to go with Arkansas. I think of the SEC teams here, they're the most talented, and I think it's a blessing to have to get to face Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State on a Friday where your best guy is going. Oklahoma State, as we just hinted at, just lost their Friday guy for a little bit of time, if not the whole year. I think that's a blessing in disguise. Whereas teams like TCU, who's probably the other most talented team playing in this thing, they're going to have to face Arkansas, Vandy, Oklahoma, 3 SEC teams. I think it's an easier path for Arkansas, and I think they can get it done.
Well said, sir. Jake, going to you. Who are you picking here?
Yeah, I'd love to pick someone different and be a little fun, but I'm gonna have to go Arkansas too for all the same points that Josh made. I think the pitching lines up for them well. For Gackel to go against Oklahoma State's best, and then I feel like just the rest of the weekend, the second game versus TCU is going to be a fun one to watch. We're going to get to see both teams have talented Saturday starters, but I think Arkansas has the overall better matchups. I think they get the most wins too.
2 for the Hogs, JB. What do you say?
My initial thought would have been the Hogs, but to be different than everybody else, there's another team that was close second for me that I'm going to take. And funny enough, they're the team I doubted the most. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt, besides playing TCU, if they can get through TCU, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State is a much easier draw, like we kind of talked about with everybody else. So I think if they can get through the TCU game, I think they're going to be A-okay. So originally my choice would have been Arkansas, but I'll go with Vandy here to be a little different, and I think they have a good path as well.
I agree. I was going to take Vanderbilt, again, just kind of using the exact same logic to be different and kind of separate a little bit. But I think I'm actually going to go different again and go TCU. I think that if TCU can survive Arkansas or even keep it close, that might be the edge they need. Not that I think Arkansas is really in jeopardy in any of their games necessarily. I think they may be tested, but I trust Arkansas, but I think I'll go TCU, not only to save our graphic, put a Big 12 name up there, but I do think that that's the team I feel the second most confident about in that crew. All right. We've had our prelim fight. It's time for the main event. Only 18 minutes into the show. All right. Gloves up, boys. We're talking UC Santa Barbara and Southern Miss. The Western United States, the Southern United States. I'm just going to get out of the way here. I'm just going to get out of the way. Jake, I advise you to do the same. Our boys in the corners here are going to duke it out. We're going to have to step in at some point and separate them. Josh, we're going to start with you. Between UC Santa Barbara and Southern Miss, I think the obvious storyline is Friday night pitching. I'm curious, though, is there anything else that you're wanting to talk about before we get into that, or are we going straight into the big horses going on Friday?
I mean, I can talk bigger picture with Southern Miss. I can stick with the Southern Miss side and let JB do UCSB. That's fine. In terms of bigger picture stuff, I think it boils down to a couple things. I don't think, or first, let me back up. I don't fully know if McCarty English or Thomas Crabtree or whoever it is going to be the Sunday guy that could play a big factor, because I don't think we fully know who UCSB's is either. So that could just be a high scoring matchup, or, who works things out pretty early on. I think Graydon Harris's role on Saturday is huge. Obviously, I'm big on him taking a step up this year, which is part of why I'm big on Southern Miss as a whole. But I think there's guys like vets in Southern Miss's lineup that really need to step up in the lineup. There's guys that we know are going to produce, guys that have produced in the past coming back, Tucker Stockman, Matthew Russo, Caleb Stelly, guys along those lines. But it's the guys like Big Ben Higdon, Davis Gillespie, guys who have been there, guys who are staples, but aren't exactly like the high producers like those other guys. Can they step up and be big in a lineup or in a matchup where UCSB isn't exactly known for their hitting per se, and you just might only need a couple bops here and there to get you out of a situation or like get one across in a tough spot. And I think those vets could be the guys that come across and play a big role if they were to step up in the situation.
Interesting. JB, we are going to go to you for a rebuttal, sir.
Yeah.
What are you looking most forward to in this series?
Yeah, the thing about Santa Barbara that I really liked was they're returning a good amount of the overall production in the offense this year. So I think that's one thing. There's a lot of older production that's coming back, along with bringing 2 guys out of the portal, Mitch Namey, and they also brought in a transfer from Ball State, who I'm spacing on the name currently. It is Nick Hazovsky. That's who it is. Both guys were all conference players in their respective conferences before. Two great offensive pieces to add in on top of what they had last year. And then on top of that, you put Flora on the mound on Friday. You feel great about. Then you have Triba as well, who they're going to feel great about putting out there at some point. And then you have Kellen Montgomery coming from Long Beach State, who's got the experience there. He's a senior. He's done very well at Long Beach State. So I think they're a very experienced staff. They also have a bullpen that is returning most of the pieces as well. I think it's a very deep, experienced team that's going to be hungry from last year after falling short in the Big West, and also a team that added on some big pieces for themselves this year on the offensive side, which was their biggest drawback last year. So I think Santa Barbara, I think they're going to put up a really good fight that a lot of people, I think, aren't necessarily expecting against the Southern Miss team that's hosted a lot of regionals recently.
Interesting. Great points on both sides, gentlemen. I'm going to call that a clean round one, and we're going to send you to your corners to spit and sit. Jake, I noticed a minute ago the Bethel Wildcats hoodie. Got to shout that out. Shout out the man, Dinger Daddy, my dad at home, and my second favorite Bethel player all time, Jake Bargery. Jake, I'm curious, from an unbiased perspective, what are you thinking about this series, and what are you most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I mean they obviously hit the high points on like who's going to play and like who's going to hit, who's going to pitch, all that kind of stuff. This game just kind of feels like, I think Josh mentioned it, like it's just I feel like it's just going to come down to the Sunday game. You know, we don't know exactly who's going to pitch necessarily for either team. I feel like it's just going to be a case where one team wins game one and the other team wins game two, and it's just who's hot going into Sunday. So I mean, at this point, I'll let if everybody, when we start making our picks, I'm a little bit torn right now. I'll have to think it over, but I can't really say that I'm leaning one way right now.
One thing I will say, I don't know if y'all have seen this, or from what I've seen, I don't think they're going to use Cole, Triba, however you pronounce his name. I think they might use him out of the pen. From what I've seen, I think they might go Flora, Prosky as the Saturday guy, and then someone like Kellen Montgomery is the Sunday guy. I don't know if that benefits Southern Miss or not, because he's going to, I mean, like long term, Triba's going to need to find a way to carve out a starter's role and actually perform in that sense. But I think that Santa Barbara thinks he's better coming out of the pen, whether it be in a closer role or in a long relief role or whatever it may be. So I don't know if they're going to use him as like a piggyback off of Kellen Montgomery on Sunday, or just close the door on, say, like Saturday, for example, if Prosky's having a good game. I don't know how that's going to work out, but just based on everything that I've seen, it's shocking they're not using him as a starter, if that is the case. And I don't really know who it benefits, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, I know Janicelli too is another one. The freshman, he's going to be another one's going to get in there at some point. So for
that's
them,
neither team really knows about Sunday.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, but I think the time has come, guys. I think we're going to have to pick it. We're finally just going to have to pick it. JB, I see you've already made your mark in the format. Who are you picking?
Santa Barbara. I think everybody knew who I'm taking, who's Josh is taking. So you two are going to have to split it up between there, but Santa Barbara.
Josh, I'm assuming you're going to go Southern Miss here.
I am, and I think it's partially because Colby Allen's going to be able to hold his own against Jackson Flora, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I truly believe it. I'm not saying he's a better pitcher, but like Friday, I think they can take that game, truly. And the home field, I really do think actually matters here. Traveling all the way from like Southern California all the way to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and a riled up crowd like that crowd is going to be ready to go opening weekend. They got a big series week one. I think that's actually going to play a major factor in this for some guys that are not used to playing in environments like that.
I really hate that you brought that up, Josh, because that was my ace in the hole on this whole discussion.
Yeah, me too. I was waiting to talk about it too.
Was the Hattiesburg crowd is gonna be hot. All right, Jake, I'll go first, and I'll let you bring up the rear here. Oh, man. JB, I wanted to pick UC Santa Barbara so bad. But
I like being the underdog. I'll take the 3-on-1 that's coming.
I do think that Southern Miss, it's going to be the home field advantage. And to counter that, I'll say alongside this, I think if Triba is coming out of the bullpen, I think it damages Southern Miss. I think that the chances that we see him multiple times, that is not good for Southern Miss. If that's one of the most electric arms on that staff, you want to see him one and done. I think it actually is more damaging to think that they could see that electricity multiple times as opposed to once for 4 to 6, 7 innings at a given time. I think to split it up would almost be more detrimental to Southern Miss. I am going to take Southern Miss regardless. Just thinking about that crowd in Hattiesburg, it has me Google Map checking exactly how far it is to try and scalp some tickets. Jake, that is going to bring us to you. Round us off. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So before we made our picks, I was kind of leaning Southern Miss for all the same points that you guys mentioned with the rowdy fans have been waiting, months to show up to another Southern Miss game. I also tend to favor Southern Miss's lineup a little bit more, but I'm not gonna just make it 3-1 against JB. I'm gonna go UC Santa Barbara.
Whoa.
I like the pitchers. Jackson Floyd, Calvin Prosky. I have to bet on them both getting the job done in both games. And if it's Triba or whoever it is, if they have a lead going into the sixth inning, you can call on Triba to finish it out. You have to feel good about your chances. So I'm gonna go with UCSB.
Why are we going easy on them? Like, why is if you think Southern Miss can win, then say it with conviction. Come on now.
So let's answer this question kind of independently. No points on the line. Just curious. The UCSB Southern Miss game on Sunday. Is there a more can't miss game that you can think of on the docket?
Like for the whole weekend?
Considering for Sunday specifically, and considering the fact that I think all of us feel this could very easily go down to Sunday for the series is what I'm getting at.
Probably.
I'm not sure that there is, me personally. I think that's the number one Sunday game for me.
Yeah, I feel like assuming that they're going to split. If they split the first two, absolutely, there's not going to be a more must-watch game. I don't think.
Yeah, the Sunday slate's worse than the Friday and Saturday slates for these events, just based on the way it kind of like unfolded. I would feel a lot more interested in the Vandy Oklahoma State game on Sunday if I knew who Oklahoma State's Sunday starter was, or even had a relative idea, but I don't. So this is probably gonna be a rubber match in a massive series, so I'd say so.
JB, any thoughts on that brief question? Or
I think it's going to be the Santa Barbara and Southern Miss game. I just think there's nothing that's going to really compete with it. Even if there's one team's down 2-0, I think it's going to be an interesting must-win clawback situation for that team compared to the bigger tournaments. A lot of coaches are probably going to walk out of there and be like, hey, guys, wasn't our weekend. Like, we played 3 games. We didn't play well. It doesn't really matter what you win or lose. In a grander scheme of things, we played great teams. Our RPI is going to reflect that we played good teams, even if we lost. I think it's different for this series. I think it's really a big deal who comes out on top and at least saving one game, no matter what. So
I agree with that sentiment, JB. I think that for the team who might potentially be down 2-0 to keep the brooms in the opposing team's closet is a huge thing here, as you said. And I think that that's going to be a team that would happen to be down 2-0, whether Southern Miss or UC Santa Barbara. They're going to be playing with a ton of conviction on Sunday. It's going to be an electric series. If you don't believe us, what are you doing? Why are you listening? Come on. It's going to be insane. We're so hyped for this season, for this series, if you couldn't tell, this season as well. Speaking of the season, we've got another event. 4 teams meeting in the college baseball series. I'm going to switch the order up here. We're going to go reverse order for the college baseball series, which is going to feature Oregon State, Arizona, Stanford, and Michigan. Hello. we had a nice West thing going over there. Michigan thrown in randomly to the mix because conference alignment. JB, we'll start with you here. Looking at this group of 4, what are you most looking forward to of this collection?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is watching Oregon State. I think that's a team that a lot of us have really kind of not seen a lot about, and we're really curious to see how they're going to perform this upcoming season. I think the pitching staff is the biggest thing we've heard about all offseason, and between Segura and Dax Whitney and Klein Schmidt, those are the guys that everybody's going to want to see. I think the offense is going to be something that everybody's going to be curious to see how it bounces back, losing a lot of pieces. So I'm very curious to see how it pans out for Oregon State.
Nice. I think that, like you said, that's going to be some more stuff that everybody wants to tune into, is see what that pitching staff does. But then conversely, what does the offense look like? Jake, looking at those 4 teams, I'm curious, what has piqued your attention the most, buddy?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Arizona. I think Arizona and Oregon State are the two favorites coming into this. I kind of view Arizona similarly to what JB mentioned with Oregon State. I think the pitching is solid. The pitching is what everybody talks about with Arizona. The Smith Bailey, Owen Kremkowski 1-2 punch there. But they lost a lot of offense too, similar to Oregon State did. They had a lot of draft guys from that lineup last year, and I think it's just how are these new faces in the lineup gonna kind of mesh together, and it's gonna be fun to see them get put to the test.
Sure will. I'm looking forward to it too. Josh, bringing up the rear, buddy. These 4 teams, what do you see that catches your eye?
Yeah, this worked out pretty well because I'm not just saying this to be different, but I think Stanford is actually the team that interests me the most in this. I'm not saying they're the best, but there's just things about them that interest me the most. I truly do think they can pick off Arizona on Friday because I like Nick Duggan a lot. He's got a wicked changeup, as y'all know. I'm a sucker for a guy with a wicked changeup. I think they truly have a shot to pick off Arizona on Friday, also because we've obviously heard a lot of glowing things about Owen Kremkowski of Arizona this whole offseason. But, the numbers show he didn't perform great last year. So, if he even keeps up a similar thing to that this year, they could lose that one early on. Has Rentaro Sasaki taken a step up from last year? He had so much hype coming into the year, didn't fully perform like we thought he would. Has he taken a step up from last year to this year? And, can the middle of that infield really carry the team? There's a lot of conviction about guys like Jimmy Nati and Charlie Bates up the middle of that infield. Are they going to be able to carry the rest of an offense that doesn't have a ton of star power besides Sasaki or someone like Tatum Marsh or whatever it may be? I think those are some really big question marks. I'll slightly touch on Michigan since no one else has yet. I don't think they're going to be able to hit to keep up with the rest of these teams, but I will say they kind of got a break with the scheduling of the whole thing because, granted, yes, they have Oregon State on Friday and you're facing Dax Whitney. You can just chalk that up as a loss. It is what it is. Don't even try. But Stanford doesn't really have the strongest number 2 in the world, and they got them. And then Arizona, Smith, Bailey, Kremkowski is the 1-2, and then it kind of drops off after that. They get them on Sunday. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to string together any wins, but just for the sake of keeping yourself interested in Michigan, they could stay close in some of these games just based on the way that the schedule worked out for them.
I'm with you. From the scheduling perspective, it's certainly interesting. Jake, what's up?
I just want to say, to Michigan's defense, there you're just chalking up that first game as a loss. I actually like Tate Carey. I think he's probably going to be the Friday guy for Michigan. Like you said, there's the question marks in the lineup. I don't really think that Michigan's going to be able to put up many runs against Dax Whitney, or is anybody in the country going to put up runs against Dax Whitney? But I like Tate Carey. I think he has a chance. If it's a 1-run game and both starters come out of the game, who knows what happens if the bullpens come in. So I don't want to just chalk it up as a loss yet, but I just wanted to defend Michigan a little bit there.
No, you're right. Tate Carey's good, and I like him, and he's been some places considered him the best, if not just at least one of the best Big Ten pitchers this year. Mm-hmm. But with the way that Michigan lineup stacks up, if Dax Whitney goes 8 innings, allows 1 run, is anyone going to be shocked? No. Then again, I'm not totally convicted about the Oregon State lineup either. So Tate Carey could do a similar thing. You are right there. You got a point. But I think Dax Whitney, there's levels to it.
I'm with both of you that I think the Oregon State Michigan matchup could be much more of a duel than your traditional pitcher's duel than I think we're giving it credit for. Just because, to kind of piggyback off of JB and into you, Josh, we don't know a lot about either of these offenses in terms of their potency. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that matchup on Friday night, not only for Dax Whitney, but just to see these two offenses that we can really safely put a question mark next to, see how they perform against an offense of a similar ilk. I guess comparatively speaking, it's going to be really interesting. Comparatively speaking, a very, very even crop of 4 teams. I think all of them have got some really big questions that need to be answered. This is a series I'm going to be watching really closely, guys. Of course, being that I cover the Big 12 for the Daily Sheet, I'm going to have to be. JB, We're going to start with you. Of these 4 teams, who do you like to take the win?
Yeah, well, the one comment I'll make quickly before we get into that, and I know Josh is big on him, but seeing him in person, I was not impressed at all the 2 times I've gotten to see him. I think Smith Bailey is getting way too much hype. He is very, very stock righty. I think Oregon State coming in there, especially if Kleinschmidt's on the mound, I think could do some damage on Arizona on Saturday. So that's my opinion. I'm not a Smith Bailey guy. I don't think that he is very impressive at all. He's very, very stock in every aspect of his offerings and everything, but that's my opinion. So I'm not too high on him, but in that note, I'm going to take Oregon State probably on the weekend. I think they're going to do pretty well.
OSU for JB. A lot of letters there. Jake, we're going to go to you, buddy. What are you thinking in this quartet?
Just so kind of on the flip side of that, I like Arizona here, and I think they are going to be my pick. I'm just looking at the matchups. Like we just broke down that Friday matchup, Michigan Oregon State. If Tate Carey can keep Michigan in the game long enough, they could shock the world there. I think Arizona caught a break not having to face Dax Whitney with their first game. I'm just going to go Arizona. I think I think they're going to hit also. So I'm going with them.
Interesting. Josh, thus far we have one Oregon State, we have one Arizona. Curious where you're leaning, sir.
I mean, I've got to refute what JB just said. First of all, I don't know where you got the whole I'm like the Smith Bailey guy thing. I don't really like. He's good, but like his stuff isn't great. Like doesn't produce a ton of swing and miss. But I do want to say you do remember what he did in Chapel Hill, right? Like you do remember how that season ended, right? Like it was a specific Smith Bailey. Like I don't know, he shut down that lineup. It's just very. I'm not gonna like dispute it per se because, like I said, I'm not like totally the Smith Bailey guy.
Sure.
But like it's an interesting take considering the last things you saw from him in person.
All I'm going to say, we can talk about this later, but all I'll say is Smith Bailey. I'm going to stand on my hill on this one. That especially watching him in the summer afterwards, I was not anywhere near impressed in two looks. But
I thought
that's fine. It's an interesting.
Drew didn't think the blood was coming out on the Oklahoma.
No,
Oregon State, Arizona, all this.
I did not expect Bailey guy. I'm not the Smith Bailey guy. I don't know where this came from, but I mean, like,
I swear every time we talk about Arizona, Josh is the one that always goes. I always hear something about Smith Bailey, like it's cramp catching. That's like Smith Bailey. Oh, they got Smith Bailey. It's always some really positive. I swear, if we go back, we'll find the clips. It's always Smith Bailey's name with Arizona every time.
Editor, check the footage, roll the clips. He's not going to do it. It's not coming. Anyway,
whatever. Where was I? My pick.
Yes.
Yeah, the important part. I think I'm gonna take Oregon State here. I mean, I don't fully believe in the lineup, but like, okay. Why are you shocked? I choose the best team. That's like whatever. They're all playing each other. They don't get themselves. Like it works out. I like my super team. I will say Stanford could go 2-1, 3-0. It wouldn't shock me. Like I don't think it's a wild claim to say they have the best offense in this field. Like, I really don't think that's a crazy statement at all. So, depending how the pitching plays out, like, I really think that they got a shot there. But I will take Oregon State just because, I mean, that rotation is just so elite. There are some people calling it the best in the country. It very well could be. So, I'm interested to see how that plays out. So, I don't know. That seems like a relatively layup pick.
I really want to just super dog this and take Michigan. But I think Stanford is a safer pick because honestly, Josh, you led into it really perfectly by talking about the offense. I think it might have, despite the litany of question marks it has, is it the safest offense? And that's kind of where my brain was at. I find myself as neither a Smith Bailey guy nor a Smith Bailey detractor yet, so I'm just going to stay off of that train. I need to see him pitch a little more. I'll make a decision later in the season, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go Stanford just to be spicy. There's a lot of questions there, but I've been a Stanford guy this whole offseason, and I need to put my money where my mouth is. Let's see Charlie Bates blow up.
I'm jealous someone else is going to have Stanford on the graphic and not me after talking about him like that. Like, I'm actually jealous you went on that limb.
Hit you with it, Drew. They had 4 returners that hit over 300 last season. And then you add Sasaki and Bates on top of that. So that is an offense that was –
It's like I said, buddy. I do think that it's – and this is weird because I think my brain is saying pick Oregon State. but my heart is saying you have waved a banner for Stanford all offseason. You've said Charlie Bates will take a step forward this whole offseason, Drew, in tons of episodes. Roll the clips, editor. He's not going to. But I'm going to put my money where my mouth is here. I think I'm going to go Stanford. We'll see what happens. I could look like a crazy person, but it's happened before. All right. From one crazy person digging around in these offenses to a bunch of crazy people digging around in the desert, it is the MLB Desert Invitational. And what a haul. 8 teams, guys. Tons of gold in them thar hills. And JB, we're going to talk about this collection of teams, including Kansas State, Nebraska, Iowa, UConn, Northeastern, Penn State, Grand Canyon, and all of our favorite team, Air Force. JB, I'm pitching it to you. What exactly are you seeing that catches your eye from the Desert Invitational?
Yeah, I think the first one that stands out to me is kind of seeing Nebraska come back this season after last year putting up a big Big Ten tournament and coming out of there. I think that's something that a lot of people are going to have questions about this year. The offense was really kind of shaky the whole year, and then at the very end in the Big Ten tournament, they had a big surge. So I think the offense will be interesting to see this year. Devin Nunez is going to lead the way for them again. It's going to be the guy you got to watch. And then the pitching staff is going to be something that's very unproven but very promising. We talked a lot about Carson Yassa before, and there's a lot more guys in there. So I think for them, it's really going to come down to how the pitching pans out and if the offense takes a step forward. But overall, I think it's a relatively weak field in this invitational.
Interesting stuff. I think that Nebraska could have a pretty clear-ish path to a victory here for us, but there's some other interesting teams in the mix. Jake, going to go to you, man. Looking at this Desert Invitational, which facet, which matchup, which thing are you seeing like a mirage in the deep desert?
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly to JB. It's not like it's not this, obviously it's not like the star-studded field of like top teams or anything, but there are some interesting teams in there. I'm very curious of who's going to pitch for Iowa. You know, they had such a really nice rotation last year, and all 3 guys were drafted, and like that, those were like the 3 starters from beginning to end of the season. So we didn't really see any other starters for them. So I'm interested to see how that pitching staff's going to play out. Also, Penn State. I tend to like Penn State. They're kind of like my home Big Ten team. I got to see them in the fall. They actually are one of the few teams that's released their weekend rotation. I kind of like the way that it shook out. But yeah, they brought in some pretty good transfer pitchers. They have a freshman actually supposed to go on that Sunday game. And they have an experienced lineup. I think they're kind of a sleeper here that could pick up a few wins.
Very interesting. Yeah, Penn State's weekend rotation. Do you have that handy? Can you share that? I haven't seen that one. I'll tell you what. I'll. Okay, go ahead.
No, I have it right here. It's Colin Fitzgerald's going to go in the first game. He's a transfer from Maine. Ben Hudson, West Virginia transfer, is going to go on the Saturday game, and freshman Isaiah Shader is going to go on the Sunday game. I got to see him last year in high school. He's a pretty fun arm. I think he's like mid to upper 90s, really good slider, pretty good changeup. I was shocked to see that he got the Sunday spot. I was expecting to see him more out of the pen to start the year, but I'm excited to watch him pitch.
It's going to be pretty interesting, yeah. Josh, we'll go to you. Man, a thirsty man in the desert. He's looking for water anywhere he can find it. And I'm curious, what are you seeing no matter which way you look? Yeah, facts. Cheers. What are you seeing no matter which way you look with the Desert Invitational?
I'm seeing runs galore because there are a lot of lackluster pitching staffs in this invitation. Let's just be real. This event has a lot of really rough pitching staffs.
Who are you to doubt Grand Canyon's pitching staff?
I don't know. I could be proven wrong, but like I will hand up. I will doubt Grand Canyon's pitching staff. I have no problem doing it. I think that the most interesting team here is probably Kansas State to me. They have probably like what seems to be a lot of power in that lineup coming back, or at least they got a lot of reliable guys like Grant Gallagher, the transfer coming in from ETSU. He should be a big piece in that. AJ Vasco. I think the pitching is a question mark, but they have a kind of definitive guy, James Guyette, going on Friday. that should work in their favor. I think Nebraska is another one that was interesting. Y'all kind of touched on that for mostly the same reasons. I think another one that we haven't talked about that I'll just briefly hit on, Northeastern had a really good year last year. We know how strong that program is, how strong that program has been over the past few years. But they're in a really interesting spot because they lost so much this year. I'm interested just broadly, how does this team stack up this year? Because they have a really elite, borderline preseason All-American coming back in the outfield in Harrison Feinberg. Carmelo Musakia, I think it's how you pronounce his name. He'll be a staple at shortstop that I think is someone they can rely on in the middle of the lineup or at the beginning, whatever they do with him, that kind of gives a cornerstone they can rely on when all these other moving parts are trying to move into the lineup and they're trying to figure it out. But like they lost 90% of their innings last year, so the mound, I don't know what that's going to look like from them, but I guess we'll find out a lot, this weekend.
Indeed, we will. I think you could say that about a lot of these teams, Josh. But what a good way to round it out. One thing that I just want to throw out there about these teams is that one of my sleeper teams last year was UConn. I loved watching UConn play, and unfortunate that a lot of their powerhouses have gone on to other things in the baseball world. We'll just leave it at that. But alas, these things happen. JB, you got you a good swig of whatever it is you're drinking there. I'm assuming it's Busch Light, knowing you. But JB, I'm curious, where are you going with the Desert Invitation?
Well, I'll start off with a nice promo for Trader Joe's sparkling water right there, so that's what we're rocking.
We're looking for sponsors, Trader Joe's, and we love it. I love your sea salt caramel chocolates at Christmas time. 10 out of 10.
They're great. Yeah, I agreed. I was torn between two, so I'll take the one I already talked about. I'll take Nebraska. I think the offense returns a lot of the production there. Now, was it a consistent offense throughout the year? No, but a lot of their production is back. And I think the pitching is more intriguing than a lot of the other options there. So I'm going to stick with them, but K-State would be a close second for me, I think.
Interesting. Jake, curious, are you going to go with your home away from home, or are you thinking something different here?
I thought about taking Nebraska. I think they do have the most well-rounded team probably out of this group. But I'll go Penn State. I like the pitching staff. I like the arms. I like the experience coming back in the lineup. So I'll go Penn State there.
I need to remember that later in the season that I can tempt you into changing your pick, and you will on the fly. That's nice. That's going to be.
No, I was already going there. I promise.
I love it, Josh. To you, buddy. Who are you thinking here?
Fascinating Penn State pick there. I don't know. I'm between JB and I are on the same wavelength here. I'm between Kansas State and Nebraska. I think I am gonna go with Nebraska solely based on the draw.
Oh, we're gonna duke it out again. God, all right.
I mean, I don't feel strongly about this at all. I don't have the passion that I do about Southern Miss and apparently Smith Bailey. So
love that.
We're learning here.
They draw UConn, Northeastern, and Grand Canyon. And, I mean, that compared to where to go. I just had it here. Kansas State draws
Iowa, UConn, Penn State.
Yeah, Iowa, UConn, Penn State. It's close. But, I mean, like, I give a slight edge to Nebraska's draw there, and I'm going to go with them for that reason. I think the teams are very similarly stacked up, though.
Guys, I think if anything we've seen so far, it's that I like spicy takes occasionally. So I'm gonna go with Grand Ole, Nebraska. Not kidding. I thought about going Nebraska. I'm really torn. I want to make it interesting and pick Kansas State, but I'll take Kansas State. I'll go with Gallagher, the transfer. I think that Kansas State's interesting enough that I can put them at the same tier as Nebraska and feel solid. Love the Penn State pick from Jake, though. I do agree with him saying that there's a lot of returning pieces that make that. Josh, what did you say? A fascinating selection? I was going to say a compelling selection, so we'll go with that. Interesting stuff. Synonyms. I love synonyms.
Grand Canyon always does win a lot of games in that tournament, though. It's one thing I will say. You go back to the history, they make some upsets in there. So
that's true. I mean, they got no one this year compared to usual. That's the thing.
I was going to say, they usually have a dude or two, though.
Right.
I'm unfamiliar with that team, so admittedly.
Yeah.
Air Force has more of a dude than them this year in Walker Zapp. I mean, like they got at least a name, like a name. Grand Canyon got no one that I know of.
Jake, are we missing anybody from Grand Canyon? Like, are we just doing mad disrespect to Grand Canyon right now?
No, I don't think so.
I was hoping you would be like, yeah, actually, there's a good guy on that team. Grand Canyon fans all just unsubscribed. Good to know. All right, moving on. Josh, we've gotten back to standard matchups here, just one-on-ones. Indiana versus a team that you might have heard us talking about once, maybe twice on this show, North Carolina. Josh, when you look at this series, what catches your eye, pal?
I'll save the UNC talk for the other guy on this
Jake?
podcast. Jake. Who we might. No, I was thinking you actually, Drew. I mean, like the one thing I will, if I can make one point on UNC, I've been skeptical about guys like DeCaro and Lynch maybe making a step up, so I'm interested to see that. But Matthew Mathias was one of the better relievers in the country 2 years ago, and he was out all of last year. He's back. Is he going to be able to return to the form that we've seen him at? Because if he really can, then that bullpen – I mean, the pitching staff as a whole for Carolina is going to take them to the promised land, if anything does. But that bullpen's really going to elevate their floor and their ceiling at the same time. Indiana, I'll mention a couple things. Just how bad is the starting pitching going to be? And that's a terrible note to start on, but I mean, like, it's really true. Like, I really don't know. Like, Tony Newbeck's going to be their Friday guy, probably. That's a Mizzou transfer. He's got solid stuff, but not a lot of velo. He struggles throwing strikes. You know, Brayton Thomas going on Saturday, probably. Sunday, Jackson Bergman. I mean, he's righty, not a lot of swing and miss stuff. Like, I really don't know how it's going to pan out from them, like, going up against guys like DeCaro and Lynch. Another one, like, has Jake Hanley taken a step up. He's like far and away their best prospect and the biggest draw for that team. But, like, can that guy really carry the team like he's expected to? Although the infield as a whole, like, they got some names, like Aiden Stewart, Cooper Malamazian, like, they won't be terrible, I don't think. Like, Hogan Denny, is he going to be behind the plate? Is he going to be in the outfield? I've seen different things. He can play both ways. I think there are a lot of question marks that have to be answered for that pitching staff more than the offense. And not really a fun lineup to be facing if you have question marks about your pitching staff in the first week going to the Bosch and facing guys like that litany of elite bats that we think is going to come out of that Carolina lineup this year. Not what you really want to be starting with, but I'm always for fun non-conference series opening up instead of just like putting into the season.
Yeah, you covered it very, very well. Jake, we'll go to you. Looking at this matchup with Indiana and North Carolina, obviously we've heard quite a bit about one of these teams, but Indiana is not a complete pushover. I think Josh alluded to that. There's guys who we need to see take steps forward, but I'm curious, Jake, what do your eyes see when you see this matchup? What's calling to you, man?
Yeah, Josh hit obviously all the high points there with Indiana, and I will leave most of the North Carolina talk to JB as he's much more knowledgeable than I am there. But like I said, I think Josh hit all the high points with them. Like it's a new look team. They have some key returners like you mentioned with Hanley, with Hogan Denny, with Malamazian. Cole Decker, I think, he's another returner, probably going to be in that lineup. Will Moore, going to be the third baseman there. I can name names. I don't know how they're really going to match up against this North Carolina rotation and bullpen for that matter, like you mentioned. It is going to come down to who's going to pitch for Indiana. I think if they come out of this series, not necessarily winning all the games or whatever, if they come out of the series with a better knowledge of like who's, what their rotation is going to look like, who's going to, start going forward for them, I think they should be okay with that.
Interesting. I'm with you as well, Jake. I think you guys are making the points, but y'all are Josh with the pick, Jake with the set, and JB, we're ready for you to spike it. Tell us your thoughts here.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of the Indiana points quickly. I mean, they talked about all the offensive threats. The offense is what's going to have to drive the way for them to have any success. The pitching is very similar across the board. When you go across their pitch plots, it's very, very similar. across the board of what type of guy they're bringing in. So that's kind of interesting. They're very cookie cutter. But for UNC, there's kind of a couple main points. The pitching is going to have to lead the way, which Josh already talked about, and it's DeCaro, Lynch, and Folger Boaz on Sunday, most likely. Those are the guys that are going to have to lead the way, and they're all going to have to be able to go out there and throw strikes and try to eat up 5 innings of a game. Now, Matthias is coming back off of Tommy John surgery. He pitched halfway through last year, got hurt, coming back now. Kyle Percival as well in the same situation. But Matthias, McDuffie, and Seagraves are 3 main pieces that they're really going to need out of the pen, along with Caden Glauber, who's taken a really big step up and kind of jumped on the scene. Early enrollee freshman Amos Rich, too, should eat a lot of innings as well. Those are the guys you're really going to be looking forward to. And the X factor is Boston Flannery as someone else who could get in the game there. On offense, it's a completely new infield besides Gavin Gallagher. Gallagher is going to play second. Outside of that, it's all transfers from Winslow behind the plate, Paulson at first, Nicholson at third, Schaffner at short. Brand new team. Owen Hull is going to start in center, and the biggest question mark, I think, for this team, besides kind of how the bullpen shapes out, is the outfield. Owen Hull is the only guy that we really know who's going to play out there right now, and outside of that, it's 2 spots up for grabs between a lot of names. French, who we saw all of last year for a big part of it, Sawyer Black, who we saw for a bit last year, Tyler Howell, the freshman, and transfer Michael McGinnis are the other guys that are really trying to compete for that spot. And it'll be interesting to see who ends up out there on opening day. So I think it's a really good chance for UNC to prove a lot of things and figure some stuff out for them. But I don't think it's necessarily a pushover either. I think the biggest strength for them is going to be the pitching to get them through Indiana.
I think so too. I think they have to be. And I love that you called out the strike throwing. We have to see that from these guys. It's because, as Josh alluded to, and as you seconded and fermented there, and Jake, I think you even alluded to it there, the North Carolina pitching is the horse they are going to have to ride this season, and I think that that's just fine. I like these bats. I think there are some solid guys here on this team, but I do think the pitching is going to kind of lead, and the team will follow. It's going to be interesting, and I do think that we're about to see the first broom of our pick'em season, but we have to go through it proper. Josh, who are you taking?
Before I pick, I want to ask. I've been meaning to actually ask this off air, but I think it's fine on air too. JB, do you know if Glauber is going to be like the midweek guy, or is it going to be like Flannery? Do you know, or is like Glauber going to pitch this weekend?
He probably would be the midweek, but for us in the past, the midweek guys are still usually available. So
okay, so he could pitch this weekend still.
Yes, usually the weekend you're still available on the weekend, but the midweek usually our starters aren't necessarily a full 5 inning type of deal. It's usually a by committee type of game whenever we throw our midweek. So he may be the starter, but it'd probably be just for like 3, 4, maybe 5 if he hasn't pitched the whole weekend. But he will 100% be available versus Indiana. So
all right, yeah, I mean I'll pick Carolina probably in a sweep. If anyone's a gambling person out there, take overs in this series. For my humble opinion, I think you're going to get lots and lots of runs on both sides, at least.
Very interesting. Jake, what are you thinking?
I'll just keep it simple. I'm going North Carolina. I think they're going to kind of overmatch Indiana at least this first weekend until Indiana finds their footing a little bit. But I'm going the Tar Heels.
JB, 2 for UNC. What are you thinking?
Gonna go with the Tar Heels again. I think it's kind of a clear-cut deal there. I think Indiana's got the offense to maybe push it to make some games interesting, but I think they just don't have the pitching.
Are you contractually obligated to say that?
I'm not, but I could get in trouble. So, I'd be very frowned upon at the facility if I didn't.
All right. Well, raise up, take your shirts off, twist them around your heads like helicopters. We'll call it a clean sweep. I'll take UNC as well.
Petey Pablo, baby.
Thank you, sir. Pretty straight answer, I think, honestly, for me. I don't see it. I think UNC should dog walk these guys, as a matter of fact. So we'll see what happens. Hope they do. All right, guys, these next 3 series, let's pick up the pace just a little bit. Give me something that you're looking forward to seeing, and we'll get through these last 3. Josh, we will start with you again. Xavier and East Carolina. Curious what you think is going to go down with this team. I know who I'm looking at as the clear-cut star of the show, but I'm curious, Josh, what do your eyes see?
Yeah, I think you're referring to Ethan Norby, and that's probably the case. He's clearly the main guy in this series. Like, how is he actually going to bounce, or how is he going to come off of last year, improve his draft stock, and become a clear ace in a weaker conference than they're usually used to seeing in the American this year? This weekend specifically, there's lots of returners in this lineup. I kind of want to see how that offense meshes along with a couple transfers. Apparently, Sean Jenkins is coming out of the pen instead of starting, which is really interesting to me. So, kind of like the Cole Triba thing that we talked about. I don't know how that's really going to work out from them and if it benefits them. I would say it probably does from like a team's perspective. Xavier, I've heard a lot of promising talk out of fall. I'll put it that way. I don't really know how well they're going to do this weekend against East Carolina, considering how much of an advantage that lineup would have against Xavier's pitching. A note that I'll make on Xavier, because we got to discuss it. Have y'all seen their non-conference schedule? It is nuts. They go.
I haven't looked. It's always tough, though. They always put together a good schedule.
Exceptionally tough this year. They go at East Carolina, at Arkansas, at Cal State Fullerton, at Oregon State. All that on the road. That is nuts. Like, I don't know why they're such masochists over there, but like,
I was about to say that's grade A masochism was the exact comment I was going to make, Josh. That's
nuts. I don't know. That just has to be mentioned. Like, kudos to them, because like I'm all for interesting series earlier in the year, but good Lord, that's brutal.
That'll be an interesting series for sure. But the next word out of my mouth, again, beyond masochism, is brutal. Jake, curious what you make of this one, man. Josh highlighted that Xavier's got some interesting stuff to their name, and you've talked about Xavier as well. I'm curious, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, the Friday matchups I think is actually going to be interesting. I don't think that ECU can just run away with it with Ethan Norby. I think he's going to be the favorite there, but I don't want us to sleep on Ryan Peach. He's going to be the Xavier Friday starter. He started 14 games for him last year. ERA just above 4. He's got like a 24-25% K rate. He's got some pretty good stuff, some pretty decent secondaries as well. I'd like to think he's going to be able to keep him in the game long enough at some point for the offense to figure it out. I do also kind of like Xavier's offense a little bit. They got some decent returners. Catcher Jason Jellick's coming back to probably start every game for them there. Connor Mish coming back as the first baseman. Also Clay Burdette, Landon Minsick in the outfield. 2 solid players there. Also, kind of like I mentioned with Penn State earlier, they have some experience in their lineup. I don't know how well it's going to hold up against the ECU pitching. Norby's going to go. Sean Jenkins is going to go Saturday. It's going to be tough matchups all the way around, but I don't think it's just a given that ECU is just going to run away with it.
Very interesting. Throw a little bit of water on that fire. Okay, JB, curious, where are you at in this East Coast matchup?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take ECU. I just think that ECU is going to be the team that's going to kind of run away with it for a couple reasons. You guys talk about Southern Miss getting rowdy. If you haven't been down there to the jungle, you'll know that it's a new breed of different down there in the jungle. They will say a lot of things and throw a lot of things at you in the jungle that it's a tough environment to play. So I think Xavier, it's something that they probably haven't experienced at all. They haven't played anywhere near here, and I think it's tough. And on top of that, obviously Norby and then Austin Irby and Braden Burris as well, the 2 studs. So I think ECU all the way.
Really glad to hear Burris brought up. He was a name that I had circled and highlighted as well. I think that I'm curious to see what he does. I think Norby obviously is the one that everybody is wanting to see take that step and kind of make that cement his stock. Burris is going to be interesting to see how he plays here as well. All right, Josh, in this series, what are you thinking?
I think it's ECU, pretty simple. Ethan Norby, Frank Kikone are probably going to be way too much, and they're going to overwhelm that Xavier lineup. And like JB hit on, the jungle isn't a place you want to play anywhere during the year, but especially opening weekend coming from cold Ohio weather, like that's just not something you want to deal with right now.
It's gonna be interesting for sure. Jake, curious, man. I know you put some water on this ECU train, but are you going to take Xavier, or are you sticking with ECU?
No, I'm going to go ECU. I am intrigued by the Friday matchup because I do like Ryan Peach, but I'm going to go ECU.
Very good, JB. Curious what you're thinking here.
Yeah, I'm going ECU. Kind of the same thing I alluded to and Josh talked about, and Like you talking about Burris, he's a big one that everybody's going to want to see. But I think another one's underrated too is Austin Irby. He was a big one that teams wanted to go and get in the portal, and he didn't decide to go in the portal. He stayed, so he's a big time freshman All American. That'll be a great player for them.
Interesting. How boring are we getting late in the game here? But I'm going to go with the Pirates as well. We'll make it another sweep for ECU. All right, those Carolina teams, they're doing it to us. All right, guys, talking about a new series here, Michigan State and Louisville. JB, we'll start with you for this one. Curious what you make of this matchup. What catches your eye?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really caught my eye is how much of a lack of depth Michigan State has going into the series. You look at the pitching, there's really not a lot of bright spots there at all when you go through what's returning on the pitching side of the ball. And then you come into it and try to look at the offense, and Ryan McKay is the only one that you can really pick out something positive about on this offense that you really, really like. Hitting 319 with a 916 OPS last year, 5 homers at second base. But I think Louisville is just going to overpower them. You know, Zion Rose, Lucas Moore, Take Davis, this team as a whole is just, I think they're going to steamroll them. And, you know, it's kind of tough luck.
I do agree with you. Not to jump the order here, guys. I'm sorry. I do think that Louisville's a team that's going to need to come out hot. I mean, think about how far they went last year, and the accelerator was pressed to the floor for this team. And I think the Cardinals are really going to want to step up and step out in a big way against Michigan State. Jake, curious your thoughts on this matchup of Michigan State and Louisville. What's most calling to you?
Yeah, like JB said, Michigan State. When you look at their team, it's kind of Ryan McKay in the lineup, and who else is going to step up into those bigger roles. And it also really hurts. They lost Joe Jerwa last year as their Friday guy. They really relied on him a ton last year. He was kind of must watch baseball in the Big Ten last year every time he pitched. So not having him out there, Nolan Higgins, I think, is the guy that's going to step up into that Friday role. But going into Louisville, I watched a little bit of Louisville as we were preparing for this, and like just watching them play, like their brand of baseball is unique. Like they're not just like relying on their power hitters to hit home runs every time. They have that ability to hit home runs a lot, but like they run, they steal bases, they bunt, they manufacture runs the way that I guess you can say like the game is meant to be played, right? But the team really bought into that kind of play style last year. And when you look at it that way, it's not hard to see why they were an Omaha team. But I like Ethan Epperly. I like watching him pitch. He just kind of goes right at guys. He keeps the tempo, attacks his own. I do like Louisville here, and I'm interested to see the depth that Michigan State rolls out on the pitching side.
It will be interesting to see for sure. I like what you had to say about Louisville and the way that they're playing the game last year, at least. It'll be interesting to see if that carries over. I'd like to think it will. Josh, to you, sir, looking at this matchup, what most appeals to you?
Yeah, I mean, they probably hit on like most all my points, I will say. I mean, this is such a good team for Louisville just to coast into the year on, because if we're being real, Michigan State might stink. Like, they really might stink this year. That rotation is very lackluster. Yeah, that rotation is very lackluster. I mean, like, Nolan Higgins can't throw strikes. Aiden Donovan lacks stuff and velo. Logan Procure gets no swing and miss. Like, there's lots of issues everywhere in that rotation that I think Louisville is going to be able to take advantage of early and often. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Like, the brands are cool playing each other in this, but like I don't really see how Michigan State has any kind of chance against a team that is as stacked as Louisville.
Word.
I don't know if I'm wrong.
No, you just went in, and I love it. Well done. All right, JB.
You didn't use the Southern hospitality, is all I gotta say there.
No,
Southern
well
hospitality.
said.
It was straight cutthroat guillotine style. It was over. I mean, it's just gory.
None whatsoever. Hey, I like it though. JB, who are you taking here, buddy?
Yeah, I'll take Louisville, but to kind of put some water on the fire we're putting with Louisville here, the one thing I will say is the pitching is a big question mark for this team. Last year, it was kind of so-so, but they had some guys step up that left now. So I think for them, it's really a question of how the pitching kind of steps up and how it looks this season. But the offense is great. But Michigan State doesn't really have much to back up to go against it. So I think even without the pitching, they coast through.
Well said. Jake, what are you thinking?
I'm also going to go Louisville. I think the lineup's going to be way too much for whoever Michigan State runs out to pitch. I think Louisville's going to pitch well enough to get them the series win.
Josh, how much money would I have to offer you to take Michigan State here?
Like $20. Times are tough. Times are really tough over here.
No, I get it. I get it. I'd probably be the same way. I was curious what you'd set that money margin on. Who are you taking?
Louisville sweep.
Sweep it up. That's what it's going to be. Louisville for Drew as well. Drewville, if you will. All right, final series of the weekend that we're going to talk about. And JB, we're starting with you again. Notre Dame, Florida Atlantic. Bit of a deep cut, but it's one that I'm really I'm intrigued to hear your conversation points, guys, on this matchup, the series specifically. And JB, we are going to start with you. What catches your eye here?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame, there's been a lot of talk out of their camp about how much this team's improved and how good they'll be and how competitive they'll be in ACC play. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. It's very reminiscent of how people looked at Stanford last year. And I think the difference is Stanford more so had the traveling gauntlet, that it's very hard to go from the West Coast over to anywhere in the East Coast every single weekend to play. I think Notre Dame's in a better position. They probably are a sleeper team in the ACC to do fairly well, especially in a tournament format now where everybody's in. But the main points will be Jack Riddell, obviously, is going to lead this team. Caden Crowell, the freshman left-hander, is a really interesting guy to look at, along with Stanford transfer, funny enough, Ty Uber, and Noah Rooney from Minnesota. Bino Water, I think it's Waters is how you're going to pronounce that, is the key bat there for them that they're really going to rely on. And also two transfers, Mark Quattroni from Cornell and Drew Birkland from Minnesota. Those guys are all going to be the people that they really rely on in the offense. But Notre Dame, to me, it's not as deep of a squad. They've got a lot of top-end talent, but they do have enough talent to make them an interesting team to steal some games.
With you there. Jake, curious, looking at these two teams, Notre Dame, FAU, what do you see? What's calling to you, sir?
I feel similar to JB. I like Jack Riddell on the Friday game for sure. He's going to give him a chance every time he comes out to pitch against, no matter who they're playing against. He also hit on the three names that I was going to mention on the offensive side for Notre Dame. So I'll go to FAU. They also have a star kind of in their lineup with Marshall Lipsy in center field. He had a OPS over 1,000 last year, 12 bombs, 18 stolen bases. He's just a really well-rounded player. Also plays good defense in center field. I also like that FAU's playing at home. Notre Dame's going from, like we talked about, I forget the other matchup we talked about earlier, but it's probably pretty chilly up in South Bend right now, and they're going down to FAU in the warm weather of Florida. You don't know how it's going to affect guys, but I like Mark Quattroni. I got to see him as a freshman for Cornell, and then Bino Waters, Drew Birkland, the other two guys in that lineup that I expect to hit as well. But yeah, that's all I got for them.
Josh, they've set you up really well to talk about Notre Dame and Florida Atlantic, and I'm just going to turn it over to you. I'm curious what you're going to say, what mic you're going to drop here.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm dropping any mics on this one, but I mean, like, I think the big point here for FAU is James Littman. How can he hold his own on Friday? I think Jack Riddell is good enough. All his production speaks for itself. Littman had some issues producing swing and miss last year. That's not going to hold against a lineup like Notre Dame's this year, I don't think. I think for Notre Dame, the bigger questions are going to be the Saturday, Sunday guys. Their Saturday guy, Dennis Hellwig, it seems to be, has his control improved from last year. They got a freshman, Caden Crowell, that's probably going to be the Sunday guy. I mean, like, any kind of freshman stepping into a role like that immediately for a power conference team is huge. How does the infield look offensively? I think that could be more of a question mark than anything else because, I mean, yeah, Mark Quattroni I think is going to be fine. I don't know if Bino Waters is going to play the infield or the outfield. He could be first base. I've seen that some places, but he's probably an outfielder long-term, and he's played there in the past. Him alongside Drew Birkland and Davis Johnson, I think that outfield is going to be fine. Infield's probably going to round out the bottom of their lineup. how do they meet expectations, and is FAU a good enough pitching team so where it's going to matter this weekend? I'm not sure, but long term, that's more the question marks. There are a couple guys that could probably answer some questions this weekend for me, though.
It is really a fabulous kind of first test for this new look Notre Dame team. The Notre Dame team that, as JB alluded to, is on the come up in the ACC and really nationally as well. FAU is going to do a really reasonable job as being kind of that first roadblock to see whether this crew is ready to roll for the long term and especially into that Atlantic Coast gauntlet through the year. JB, who are you picking here?
I'm going to take Notre Dame. Short and simple, I think they got more talent, but FAU is going to be a team that really I think will be a pretty solid test, especially having to travel for Notre Dame. So it'll be a good series, but Notre Dame for me.
Jake, what are you thinking here? Is the road game going to take down Notre Dame before they can even get the wheels rolling?
I think I want to go FAU. I think I want to take FAU playing at home. They got to be comfortable playing at home and getting a cold weather team coming down to see them. I'll take what seems to be the underdog. I'll go FAU.
I was so tempted to do the same. Now I'm even more tempted, Jake. Maybe I'll match you there. Josh, what are you thinking here?
I did not expect anyone to take FAU. That gets me going. I'm fired up. I mean, I'm not going to do it myself, but like, kudos to y'all. Like, I mean, I don't know. They could pick off one. Like, I think they could. That's a long road trip to go for week one, but the talent's probably going to overwhelm FAU if I had to guess.
I think so too. I'll go with our boy Marshall Lipsy. I'll go with Jake. I'll take FAU. Why not? We'll keep it spicy for that last round of selections. Why not?
Why not make
what a graphic? We're out here doing things. The Drew tier is the Drew column is going to be a wild one, but alas, that's what we do it for. We do it out of our gut. All right. This was fun, guys. I think we alluded to it at the top of the show, but man, it's good to talk about some baseball coming up. And the next time we talk, we're not just going to be talking about matchups to come. We're going to be talking about matchups that have happened. We're going to have performance from the 2026 season to discuss. I can't wait. Until that time, there's a little bit of a gap in time. So, guys, I want you to tell the folks at home what you're working on, where they can find you between episodes of College Baseball Now. Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JoshCatlett3. Just got done posting all my All-American teams, top 25. By the time this airs, I will have like a preseason bracketology thing out, so that's pretty cool. I worked on that. I'm kind of proud of how that turned out. I'm sure JB and Jake and you were going to mention it. We just put our prep top 100 out on the website the other day. Super proud of that. Gotten some glowing reviews of that. Yeah, I mean that's about it. I'm proud of how everything turned out. Like I actually think it's a much better constructed list than the first top 50 we had. We messed around with a few things. I think we got it a lot better this time.
Very good. Glad to hear that you're going to get that out. I'm looking forward to the bracketology thing. I'm really hyped for that. I know you mentioned the methodology going into it. I'm excited to see this final product.
It's fun.
Jake,
I enjoy doing that.
Word. I know you mentioned that was something you really geek out about. So I always like seeing the kind of convergence of your interests and all of you guys the same way. Jake, I know you're rolling along. You are getting close to meeting your goal. So tell them what you're working on and where they can find you between episodes, bud.
Yeah, I think I mentioned last time. I was kind of hoping that would be the last time this gets mentioned, but I think this will actually be the last time it's mentioned. The conference previews, the SEC is. I'm going to be finishing that up the next day or two. Hopefully, get that out before the season starts. Also, I've been kind of tracking a lot of these Northeast kids up here on the showcase circuit up here. Just went to a nice PBR Pro case up here. I got to see some pretty awesome talent. Might have an article out. Nonetheless, I'll have video out on Twitter for the guys that I got to see. So that's what I'm working on.
Love to hear it. Where can they follow you between episodes, sir?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Barge, right under my name there on the screen.
That a boy. That's one of my favorite Twitter follows. And JB, round us out. Where can they find you between episodes? And what are you working on?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at JB_Sebastiano. Obviously, as we talked about the prep list, that was huge. I agree with Josh. I think we did a great job. Big kudos to He Doesn't Hear It Enough, Drew. He really put this together and helped us do a really good community list this time that I think improved from the last time. So big shout out to Uncle Drewski over there for getting it done. So kudos to you. But that's it. Yeah, the prep stuff, and then you'll see some stuff probably on college baseball for me soon enough when I start going to some games this weekend. But yeah, that's what we got.
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so sick. Obviously, like the guys said, the Prep 100 list is amazing. I really like the Team Gripes article, so check that out. It's a really good companion piece. Hopefully, there'll be another companion piece, which features not only the fine work of our scouts, but our partners at Visual Edge. We've got, obviously, the College Daily Sheet is going to be starting this weekend. Cannot wait. That's going to be such an amazing endeavor, and I can't wait to get going with that. Have some stuff coming up soon, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you guys stay on the lookout for maybe some stuff that you could rep your favorite podcast at College Baseball Now very, very soon. I can't say anything more, though. Just wait. And until next time, College Baseball Now is going to bid you adieu. Oh, follow me on the Twitter machine, on Instagram, on Blue Sky. Follow me on all the places, at Drew is okay. Appreciate the kind words from you guys. Appreciate all the glowing reviews and all the feedback we've gotten on the Prep 100 list, on everything. Guys, the college baseball season, it's practically here. I wish I could think of a fun rhyme like something from Christmas, but alas, I cannot. But until next time, we will see you. The season's here. Woo-woo!